Hello everyone, it's time for another deck profile, this time on my V Maelstrom Reverse deck. Of course, post Clan Collection 3 and 4, the first Reverse Clan Collection. But anyway, like usual, I am a Maelstrom player, so the Maelstrom Reverse actually really surprised me for V because I never expected them when it was first introduced to make a reverse theme. Because I was not expecting them to bring back Glendios either. So bringing back the reverse theme in Clan Collection really surprised me a lot. And I'm just glad to see it. A new Maelstrom unit, because I like playing Maelstrom, and ever since seeing that, I was hoping that it would contain back its original roots when it was first introduced. But anyway, how this deck runs, it's typical Aqua Force, multi-attack, spam them with small pokes. Although with Maelstrom Reverse's case, you're basically having your forces hold off the enemy while not hurting them, while Maelstrom sacrifices some of his forces to charge up an attack. That's basically how it runs. So that is a little downside with the Maelstrom Reverse deck. And I'm also going to say one thing. It is a little weird to build Maelstrom Reverse deck if you have your regular Maelstrom as part of your main lineup. Because, as you can tell, I am playing regular Maelstrom. And that's because it is considered an alternative first ride to me, because how I play the deck is that I like to ride Maelstrom Reverse first and try not to ride the regular Maelstrom. Because the regular Maelstrom has support that is attack hit enablers, because Maelstrom has attack hit ability to activate, but those attack hit enablers, regardless of attack hit, activates attack hit abilities. And Maelstrom Reverse wants you to miss. So there's a little awkwardness of building the deck, hence why I'm not really going to be focusing around even using the regular Maelstrom other than as a backup first ride. So in my version, I'm just playing more in the Maelstrom Reverse case. But anyway, to the deck itself. So what gift marker would you like to choose? Well, Excel 2 obviously, because that one lets you draw a card. I mean, free pluses is always good. And now to the deck itself. First off, I run 2 regular Maelstroms. This is, like I said, backup first ride, and also I do run Glory Maelstrom in this deck, but I don't want to run 4 Glories because you don't want to end up first riding that. So this is just a backup first ride because it is better than riding Glory for first ride purposes. And because the skill is Act, Vanguard, once per turn you can counterblast 1, your whole front row gets plus 3k. That's actually not bad, and it does help fix some numbers. And then the second skill is that if your third or fourth rearguard attack hit, you can discard 2 cards to stand this unit. Like I said before, if you run attack hit enablers, this is not going to matter as much, because at least you're able to activate this regardless of hitting. But considering that Maelstrom Reverse has the no hit part, it is a little awkward to run those with it. And since there's more consistency of running just more multi-attack than the attack hit engine, I rather stick more with that instead of riding this as a first ride. Yes, Maelstrom Reverse won't be at full power, but Maelstrom Reverse does have more plays into it, in my opinion. But this is just a backup first ride, hence why I decided to run 2, and it's the base form, which is why I showed it first. And speaking of Maelstrom Reverse, you have to run the 4 Maelstrom Reverse. So first off, when one of your rearguards does not hit, you can lock one of your standing rearguards and the guest card gets plus 10k, but if you have Maelstrom and Soul, you also can retire one of your opponent's rearguards. This does add up and it's not once per turn. Yes, it is a little annoying that your rearguards have to not hit to do so. So in some cases, because of that skill condition where you're going to lock a stand rearguard anyway, it's not going to matter too much, but it is a little annoying. But the payoff can be actually worth it, because the second skill is that when this card attacks, if it's the 4th battle or more, you can counterblast 1, this card gets 1 crit, 1 drive check, and then if this card does not hit, your opponent chooses cards from their field and hand for each of your locked cards on the field and send it to the drop zone. That is very powerful, especially the first skill can usually build up 3 locked cards. That's a -3 right there. I love the Maelstrom Reverse route that they did because the original one had a similar thing. Whether they take the 2 crit in the face or they lose even more cards. And at least that this card doesn't even have a power problem thanks to its first skill still giving it 10k for each attack miss on your rearguard. So yeah, very powerful. And if you put a full power Maelstrom Reverse, yeah, that's gonna kill a lot of your opponent's rearguards. And I love that. That's why how I play the deck is that I would ride Maelstrom Reverse first because it just displays so much advantage. It displays crit pressure, and if your opponent doesn't want to take the crit in the face, well, they're going to lose a lot more cards. That's just why I just like to ride Maelstrom Reverse first, because I see that crit pressure better than the restand in some cases, where sometimes even that's not even very consistent, and you have to run a bunch of clunky cards that don't work with this. So this is just personal preferences, but Maelstrom Reverse is my main first ride target, and it's basically my main play. And then for my last grade 3, I run Glory Maelstrom, because Glory Maelstrom is the best finisher for the deck. Then you play a counterblast for an act, and then your opponent can only guard with 1 card for each attack. And if you have a Maelstrom and Soul, plus 10k. So it's just finisher, that's why I don't want to run 4, that's why I still went with a 2-2 for original and Glory, because you don't want to ride this first. Because without that 10k, it doesn't really do much, and in many cases, it just ends up being 5k shields. So when you put a full power Glory Maelstrom, it can actually finish games, and one of your goals is to make sure that they become unguardable. So, best finisher. Alright, so that's the grade 3 lineup. To the grade 2 lineup, first off, Driftflow Fencer. This is your Maelstrom Searcher, because on place you can look at top 7 for a Maelstrom. And also the second skill where when it attacks at least the 4th time and you have a Maelstrom Vanguard plus 15k. So this is actually one of your ways to make sure that your Glory Maelstrom turn makes an attack unblockable. At least one way. But overall, it's just a good card, especially with Maelstrom Reverse having their first few attacks not hitting. It is good to have a nice speeder that doesn't need to be boosted. So, of course, you just run 4. Next, I run 4 Algos, because on early game, if you ride this on grade 2 on Vanguard, when this card attacks, if it's at least a second or more battle, you can counterblast 1, soul blast 1, stand one of your rear guards. It just provides very good early game pressure, but also mainly for the second skill, because when it attacks and it's the first battle, you can counterblast 1 to stand this unit. I already have another restanding rear guard that can stand that causes soul blast, so I just want one that causes a counterblast. That's why I just run this. And besides, usually it's the very first attacks that you really want these to stand up anyway, so this is fine. Next, for my last grade 2, Tidal Assault. Similar to Algos, except that it causes a Soul Blast to stand it, but it minuses 5k if it's on the second or more battle. So mainly you do want to use this on the first attack, although just in case, it is nice to have another option for you to restand in more than the second attack. So that's why I run Tidal over something like Terrific Coil, because Terrific Coil still has to be first attack, and there might be an awkward interaction between Algos and Terrific Coil. And another thing is, your first few attacks, you don't want them to hit. So there is that too. And one thing that is nice about these restanding rear guards is that if you have like Algos and Tidal, you can technically make your Tidal restand, and then after the attack, you could just lock it. So that's a nice extra feature right there if you have like both of them on the field and it just becomes a lock target after you restand it. So there is that as well. So that's a grade 2 lineup. To the grade 1 lineup. First, Radiant Assault. This is one of your Maelstrom attack hit enablers, because on place you can Soul Blast 1, and then for this turn it gets this ability where during the battle that this unit attack or boosted, the attack hit ability activates regardless of status. Then you can put a Maelstrom card from your drop zone to the bottom deck to draw a card. So it does give you cycling, and also because you run regular Maelstrom, this is just here just in case of that. But in that, you're just going to mainly use this for the recycling effect. Next, Propulsion Dragon. This is actually really good with the Maelstrom Reverse deck, because its skill is that after the battle that this card attacks a grade 2 or greater Vanguard, you can counterblast 1, and then you can switch positions with this card along with a unit in the back row, and then stand it. This is very nice for a few things. One, this could be reused as a booster, but the other part is that you can play this with Maelstrom Reverse, because you can attack with this, use the skill, put this in the back, and stand it, and then Maelstrom Reverse, lock it. So then you don't even lose a front row unit, which could be another attacker. That's one nice thing about this card and why I run 4 of these. And it also could be a booster if you need to. And then of course, you must run the 4 penguins for countercharging, because during the 4th battle, you can retire to countercharge. And also the other ability where you can rest this unit and then choose a card in the same column as the unit, and it gets plus 5k until the end of the turn. This is fine if you want those restanding rearguards to actually attack hit in some cases, but during Maelstrom Reverse, this is very likely not to activate, but it is your main countercharger, so you'll still have to run 4 anyway. Finally, grade 3 searchers, because grade 3 searchers, my starter, Bubble Edge Draco Kid, whatever. And then trigger lineup, 8 crits, because fronts are weird in this deck, especially when your Vanguard is usually going to be making the last attack. And then the 4 draw PGs, and of course the 4 heal Guardians. So that's it for this deck profile. What do you guys think about my V Maelstrom Reverse deck? Or you could just simply call it the Maelstrom deck. And what changes would you guys make in it, or what other suggestions? I personally like the deck how it is right now, like usual, because I playtested a lot and it's working out pretty well. The only thing annoying about Maelstrom Reverse is that the first 3 attacks cannot hit. Other than that, I really love the pressure that Maelstrom Reverse gives, and basically another choice for your opponent. To crit in the face, or lose a lot of cards. Hence, the caption saying it's either you or your allies. Really love that. And personally, I love Maelstrom in general, although when V reintroduced Maelstrom, it wasn't my liking, especially on needing to attack hit for most of its support cards. That was just dumb. I just really hated that, but with Glory Maelstrom, it kind of made it better, but didn't really bring too much shine for me to build the deck, other than just keep playing it in Premium. And speaking of Premium, I will make that profile soon, because at least that deck plays a lot differently, but with Maelstrom Reverse, I just love it even more. The only gripe I still have is that I always see Maelstrom as a polar opposite to Overlord, but Overlord gets way too many forms in comparison to Maelstrom, because water versus fire, and they're both dragons, both powerful clans as well. So I do hope that we could get another Maelstrom unit just to parallel the Overlord really. I mean, it's not necessary or anything, but I just like to see it. Glory Maelstrom versus the end would be awesome. But other than that, that's it for this, and see you all next time.